Oh, Sonic Top 10s, you will continually haunt me for the rest of my life. Why? Because my opinion keeps changing. Yeah, it seems as soon as I'm confident I've found my 10 favourite Sonic games, another comes along, or I go through an opinion change. Anyways, for this video I aim to give my current 10 favourite games in the series. Couple of rules before we start. I'm now not going to include that you have to be able to play a Sonic rule, so I can include spin-offs, and the game just needs to be like officially made by SEGA and that. And also I'm now judging each game as how they were sold individually, so no multiple entries here. With that being said, let's get this list underway. Wait, what's this? A Sonic racing game that doesn't suck? Yeah, ditching the hoverboards, dodgy gimmicks, and the fucking Babylon rogues, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing adopted the simple kart racing formula, but has its own flavour to it. The main thing here being that the variety of vehicles is so much more expansive than any Mario Kart game. You've got cars, bikes, planes, quads, and even a monster truck to name a few. All the tracks in this game are themed after popular Sega games, and they're all really fun to race on. This game also has its own collection of multiplayer modes. You got like standard racing and battle, but there's also capture the Chow, collect the Chaos Emeralds, and knockout. Also, the way you earn Sega miles to spend at the shop means that unlocking everything is not based on what tasks you achieve, but how long you play the game. So there is good replay value to be had here. Yes, it may be considered a Mario Kart clone, but that's easy to overlook if it's done well, and for me, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing most definitely does it well, and I eagerly await Transformed.
Number 9.
As far as Sonic games on the DS go, it's a very mixed bag for me. The first Sonic Rush was average and forgettable, but Sonic Rush Adventure is a whole different story. For one, this game has more an emphasis on adventure as you sail from island to island to reach the levels, and I gotta say, cruising the waves on the jet ski is so much fun. Maybe Sega should consider an entire game based off this formula, although personally I could care less for the other boats, but still it made the game feel much bigger. As for the gameplay itself, it felt like the game that Sonic Rush wanted to be. Levels are much better designed, have more platforming to them, boss battles were more fun, the music didn't rake my ears, and there's wicked high replay value to be had. It's amazing to think how something so average could spawn such a great game like this. While Sonic Rush Adventure is easily Sonic's best outing on the DS, and is one I still find myself playing to this day.
Number 8.
Sonic Adventure DX. Whilst a lot of video game series suffered with their transition to 3D, I'm glad to say that's not the case with Sonic, as his first 3D adventure was a blast. No, Sonic 3D Blast doesn't count. New to the series is an open world adventure field, which made the Sonic world seem a lot more expansive. The Sonic and Tails stages are excellent fun to race through, and even Knuckles had some unique but really fun treasure hunting stages. Unfortunately for this game, only half can really be considered awesome. Gamma's stages were alright, but felt a bit too brief. Amy's stages were just sluggishly paced, and the less said about Big the Cat, the better. The game has got extensive replay value, with minigames, emblems, and missions. However, I feel only hardcore Sonic fans would really care for it. Anyone else would just see this as filler content. But still, if you're playing as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and exploring the adventure fields, you can have a lot of fun. And for that, Sonic Adventure DX is really a hard game to put down.
Number 7.
What better way to celebrate Sonic's 20th birthday than a blast to the past? Sonic Generations recaptured levels from the first game on the Mega Drive all the way up to Sonic Colors. The main draw for this game is there are two Sonics, classic 2D Sonic and modern Sonic. Playing through these levels as two Sonics can really give the levels a fresh new feel, whether it's blasting through the chemical plant in glorious 3D, or playing Crisis City with a classic reimagining, and trolling. The other big draw here is the level design, as these levels are both complex and hugely explorable, with many different routes to experiment with, along with some solid platforming to boot. The controls for classic Sonic are great, despite the physics not being exactly like the classics. It's still close enough though. Modern Sonic plays like Sonic Unleashed, but with much tighter controls and mechanics, and actual platforming. The only thing about this game that pissed me off was that only 9 stages the game is criminally short, and not to spoil anything, but the final boss sucks! But aside from that, Sonic Generations is the best of both worlds, and a great way to celebrate the Blue Blur's 20th anniversary.
Number 6.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the perfect example of a video game sequel done right. Take the basic premise and expand on it. For one, the sense of speed is now a lot faster than the first game. You really feel like you can get great bursts of speed in each level. Plus, this game has various new additions to spice it up. For one, the new spin dash allows you to charge up a roll and then zoom away. Freaking sweet. 2 is Sonic's two-tailed friend Tails, who in this game is a bit of a nuisance, but in the later games he's useful and a much beloved character. And finally, Sonic's super form, Super Sonic. There are more zones in this one than the first game, some of which can be pretty challenging, and this game has my personal favourite soundtrack of the Mega Drive Sonic games. The one thing I despise in this game though are the special stages. I'll be honest, I never managed to get all the Chaos Emeralds here, as these special stages are just too damn frustrating. But aside from that, Sonic 2 is fun from beginning to end, and remains as the best-selling Sonic game ever.
5.
You know, if I could go back and rectify any one of my videos, it would be the result of my Sonic Advance Trilogy battle review, because after really getting down to play Sonic Advance 3 again, I really felt that game should have won. Sonic Advance 1 was too slow paced and had frankly awful level design. Sonic Advance 2 was fun but lacked in the platforming department. But Sonic Advance 3, how did I ever overlook this game? This game combined the speed of Sonic Advance 2 with some solid platforming, and it really managed to fine tune things. The levels here are more vast and explorable than before. Another thing this game managed to fix is not having to replay the game with every character. But the big selling point here though is the unique character combo system, where depending on what character you pick and what partner you choose for them, you get different skills, and you can have some real fun here experimenting with many different combos and accessing parts of the levels you couldn't before. One last thing to mention about Sonic Advance 3, other boss battles are probably some of the best bosses for any 2D Sonic game, especially the Super Sonic boss. Of all the attempts to add innovation to 2D Sonic, Sonic Advance 3's effort was to me the best, and if you can find a copy of it, it is well worth a play.
Number 4.
2010 was indeed a golden year for Sonic. Not only did he release his best racing game ever, he also released this wonderful platformer, Sonic Colors, a game based around the daytime levels of Sonic Unleashed, but with much more interactivity and creativity. For one, this game is now more focused on platforming rather than quick reactions, and the game introduces a new gimmick of the Alien Wisp power-ups. When Sonic fuses with them, he can unleash cool powers, like shooting a laser, drilling, and going frenzy to name a few. The balance between using wisps and platforming is near flawless, and this is one of the best executed gimmicks in the Sonic series. Being set in an outer space amusement park, Sonic Team really let out their creative juices and offered some wacky, inventive locations for the levels. Another thing I really liked about Sonic Colors was that it was the first game to feature my favourite Sonic voice, Roger Craig Smith. And I can say that this is the funniest Sonic game ever, and that is a statement right there. But whilst this game is not too long, it is hugely replayable. Red rings to collect in levels to unlock cool stuff really helped add to the fun factor and flesh out the exploration of the levels even further. Plus, this is also a great game for high score chasers. I expected a great game, but I did not expect Sonic Colors to be this good. An absolute must for Sonic fans and Wii owners. Whilst the first Sonic Adventure game may be showing signs of age, I think time has been much more kind to Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Not only was this the first appearance of Shadow the Hedgehog, but this was the first time I really felt like the story was an epic part of the game. I mean hell, this is good enough to be movie standard. The Sonic and Shadow stages are easily the highlight of the game, with fast flowing gameplay, well designed levels, and an overall higher fun factor than the first game. But I gotta say, the shooting stages and even the treasure hunting stages have really grown on me, and now I can say they're all fun. Sure, the treasure hunting stages could be tedious at times, and the rap music in Knuckles stages felt too repetitious, but they really felt like they put your hunting skills to the test, and hey, it's better than Big the Cat. The multiplayer mode here is a lot of fun to play with friends, even if one decides to be a cheap bastard. Plus the extra missions in the levels really add a whole new level of challenge to them instead of feeling like filler content. And when you don't want to play any more levels, you can always just hang out in the Chow Garden, which by the way is super addictive. All of these add together to make Sonic Adventure 2 Battle a game which I still come back to this very day. Truly one of Sonic's finest.
Number 2.
Okay, by now it should be no surprise, but I am a huge Shadow fan. That is with both his character and his solo game. After the disappointing Sonic Heroes, I'm happy to say that Shadow the Hedgehog was a huge improvement. For one, the controls felt more fluid, and the overall gameplay has more depth to it than a lot of other 3D Sonic games. Whenever people complain about this game, it's mostly just nitpicking. Giving Shadow guns, in my opinion, really helped the game, as not only did it make killing enemies easier, but it didn't feel like it was breaking the flow of the gameplay too much, and was also a great assortment of weapons to choose from. The level design for me was a big highlight, as you had a choice of different missions, like Hero, Dark and Neutral, and whichever one you do alters the story path Shadow takes, and you can take many different ones. This once again is a great way to add replayability to the game, unlike that other game. The music and dark atmosphere for this game was just great, along with the drivable vehicles, chaos powers, multiple endings, hidden keys to unlock cool things. There's just so much going for this game. I played the shit out of this game when I first got it, and it is the cement reason why I'm a hardcore Sonic fan in the first place, and that's why it's so high on the list. But what could be number 1?
It's number 1.
Okay, so my number 1 favourite Sonic game is...
Hold it, Tom.
Realm? What are you doing here?
You said at the beginning that you wouldn't include multiple entries.
Realm?
I know you're just gonna put Sonic 3 and Knuckles at number 1
Could you
again.
just let me finish?
They were released as separate games. They should be counted individually.
Realm! Sonic 3 and Knuckles is not number 1.
Oh, really?
Now, if you'd let me explain... Attached, separated, whatever the case, I will still say that Sonic and Knuckles is my favourite Sonic game. While Sonic 1 started the formula and Sonic 2 improved on it, Sonic and Knuckles was about the closest thing to perfection the series has to offer. For one, this is the first game to let you play as Knuckles, and this to me was a breakthrough point in the series, as Knuckles plays very different to Sonic. He can glide and climb up vertical walls, and his levels have different paths only he can access, same with Sonic. So playing through the game once with Sonic, then again with Knuckles could feel like two whole different experiences. The level design and challenge were much improved over the previous Sonic games. There's such great exploration and secrets to be had with these levels, and they're all really fun to play through. This was also the first Sonic game to feature a secret boss that could be unlocked by obtaining all the Chaos Emeralds. But the best part about this game was definitely the lock-on capability, where if you put one of the earlier Sonic games on top of the cartridge, you could play an entire game based off the Sonic 3 special stages, play through Sonic 2 as Knuckles, and best of all, play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Ever wondered about those inaccessible routes in Sonic 3? Well, they're for Knuckles. With all these breakthroughs, I can safely say that not only is Sonic and Knuckles the best of the 2D Sonic games, but it's also my all-time favourite game in the series. So there you have my top 10 favourite Sonic games. Disagree with the list all you want, but at the end of the day, please respect my opinions on the games, and screw it, nobody ever listens to that anyways. But still, thanks for watching. ChadSauce11 out.